We're good.
Good. Go for it.
All right. Looks like we are finally live. Welcome to this week's episode of Embrace the Weight, Strength in Numbers. We are four amateur strongmen who will give our opinions on stuff we're probably not qualified to. So this week's episode, we're doing a fantasy strongman contest. Basically, we all provided a list of our favorite strongman events that we'd like to see people do in a contest. And today we're going to go through each round and eliminate three events each round, so only one event is left each round. And then we'll move on, and eventually after all the rounds, we'll have a final strongman event that is the ideal event, according to us. So, I kind of, somebody else take it for a second. I forgot where I was.
Corey, go for it.
So basically, we're going to go ahead and start off here. Everybody's going to go on and name off their very first event. We're going to debate about it, figure out which one we all believe should be the winner, and we're going to go on from there. So my very first event that I'd like to throw into the fire is log and axe press medley. What do you guys got?
We're going to, for the simplicity sake, any overhead press medley, we're going to lump in together. So if it's a medley of any sort, 2 or 3 or 4 implements, it's all going to be one medley type event.
I have medley 2 to start off with, but I have a loading medley.
Oh, that's fine.
I really like the events where they have to load up their own sled and then pull it back.
Oh,
that is really that's good. Visually nice, where it's like they take everything to one side, load up a big sled, and then have to drag the sled all the way back. I always like that for a start.
I like that one because I like when they have to drag it a little bit and then load more and then drag it more and then load. I really like that. That is visually a lot of fun to watch. All right, Matt, what do you got?
I get the log lift. You got to start with the log lift.
Just straight up log lift.
Strongman.
Yeah.
I'm with Matt on this one. It's just like it's a hallmark event. Even if you want to ditch the medley and go straight for the log lift, would you make it a max lift event or would you make it a rep event?
I prefer the heavy reps. Kind of like Santa Monica was. What was that? 380.
Yeah,
I like that kind of the real right around that 400 range for strongman for reps. Yeah, heavy for reps. I like that.
Okay, so my vote, then I'm gonna throw it out there, is for the reps. Everybody's got theirs out there, right? That's just 4.
No, I haven't said mine yet.
Oh, my bad. Jumping the gun.
For my first event, a visual event I like a lot is the anchor drag. When they have the chain attached to the anchor, that is a lot of fun to watch, and they don't do it very often because it does damage stuff. But I feel like if you didn't have to worry about it damaging the floor, that's an event that they would do more. Just really heavy drags.
I don't know if I would open with that, but I do really like that event. That is strongman through and through.
Because it's just it's stuff that shouldn't be moved, and you're moving it just sheer force of will.
Well, it's the same thing as the log. You know, you're moving something that normal people aren't going to try to move, and you're pressing it for reps. I kind of agree. Like, the log is strongman pretty much, and using that as the starting event is a pretty good thing to start with.
I'm a sucker for overhead press events, personally. Even though I can't do it really well, I love watching it.
Okay, so the first event, I think it kind of comes down to either a pressing event or a kind of drag or some kind of pulling event. I think to start off, I think a lot of strongmen start off with pressing because strongman is so back heavy, and they're just like, let's get the pressing out of the way and let's move on to all the other stuff. I think though, pressing as a first event is a really good warm up for like stability. I think that in general, if you're gonna have a first event, I think log press is kind of ideal for that warming up type of event. It's still heavy, it's still hard, but it's still kind of something they should be able to do every time.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of other movements that'll mess with a log press, but log press won't hurt you later on.
It's also more familiar to start the competition with people outside of strongman. It's way less foreign of a movement than a lot of the other things. They have no perspective on how heavy and how hard it is to drag the anchor, but if you've done pressing, you can kind of relate.
Yep.
The other
Okay,
thing is,
so-
I want to ask before we get too far into this: are we trying to create the ideal show to watch, or are we trying to create the ideal show for a competitor to compete in? Because they can't both be the same thing.
No, yeah.
We're going to try and find the best balance of both. Something that is both, because I think that's really important in strongman. Stuff that's fun for the competitors to do, but also fun to watch. Stuff that does both of those, I think, is really important. And it won't be every event. Some events will be more spectator friendly, and some will be more participant friendly. That's just kind of how it's going to roll. Just because we are all participants in strongman along with spectators.
Okay, so since we've decided we want to put this down to a vote, and you said it seems like it's between a loading medley, like a pull,
I think
or
we
a
all
press.
kind of agree that the overhead press is a good way to start the event. I think what we need to decide is whether it should be a medley or just one log.
Okay, that's where I was going to go with it. We got to put some specificity on the actual event now.
So that's where we'll put the specificity, whether we think that for an overhead press event, it should be just one single log heavy for reps or a medley. I think I like medley because it's more interesting for the spectators because the athletes have to move a lot. The other thing about the medley I like a lot is that you can do a lot more different things with a medley. I do like the Slater wooden log lift. Like visually, that looks incredible no matter when you're doing it. So that one is, but I also think that spectators like to see the athletes move. And I really like the overhead press medleys. I feel like it's more even for everybody. It's not gonna, the pressing specialists are gonna do well, but they're not gonna blow everybody out of the water every time if they're slow.
Yeah.
Honestly, on those two, I'm completely indifferent. Like, if it was like ideal competition, I'd probably just have those two rotate each year. Like,
it could be
between
kind of
a
either
medley or a heavy log press for reps, both of them I feel like are equally good for to kick off any strongman competition.
I'd agree with Matt. I think I'd like to go with the actual medley because you see a lot of rep presses, so it'd just be something a little bit different. And it doesn't have to be a log for every single one either. It could be a fixed axle thrown in the middle, just something to really fuck with the competitor's mind. Going from a log to a fixed axle clean and then back to a log. That's tough. That's not easy to do.
Medley it is.
Yeah, I think we're gonna go with the overhead press medley. We didn't specify exactly what implements because it doesn't really matter. It's just more than 2 implements and kind of heavy.
Yep, sounds good to me.
All right, cool. I like it. So, next one. I'll start this one. Let me see what I put down. I'm going to go with car deadlift. I really, really like car deadlifts. And as far as deadlift variation, I feel like it's the most interesting.
I also had a deadlift variation. I went with the wagon wheel deadlift. I always think that that's cool when they use like the Hummer tires or something like that.
The like, kind of
like
raised,
quad Hummer tire pole.
Not quite
cool.
like 18-inch, but just a raised deadlift. Something that's different height. I like that. Any other suggestions?
Yeah, to be honest, I just put regular deadlift.
Yeah,
just regular straight up.
I don't like
for reps or deadlift for max?
Competition, so I just had a deadlift at number 2 as well. It's just a really good place to do it.
Yeah, I was leaning towards heavy for reps.
Heavy for reps.
I know it's not exotic, but it's one of those lifts that is impressive regardless.
I think it's also easier for the deadlift specialist to not run away with that. Because I feel like there's a lot of people who don't max out on deadlifts really high who can do a lot of reps on heavy deadlifts.
Yeah.
Like Mark Felix's max deadlift isn't the highest, but his reps deadlift is really impressive.
Well, additionally, too, it's one of the few events that I think the layman can truly understand. Almost everyone has tried a deadlift.
Yeah,
and so
car deadlifts they're impressive to watch, but you can't really understand how heavy.
Yeah, I do like the car deadlift though, so I wouldn't mind losing to that one.
Let me go ahead and just be the devil's advocate to this and gladly be so. This is one of those events that if you're going to do deadlift to me, we do max deadlift till it's fucking blue balls beaten up. It's just ridiculous. So why not do something super spectacle, super crazy, super cool, one of those events that when I was a kid and I saw strongmen and I saw them lift stuff like cars, I was like, Superman.
Yeah.
That's what I want out of this event. If you're going to do a deadlift event, I want to be able to look at these guys and be like, holy shit, that's Superman. So if deadlifting a car, if it's deadlifting, you know, crazy Hummer tires with something weird hanging off, like a fucking, I don't know, silver dollar deadlift, you know, any of those things, like it's such a weird and different out there kind of visual thing. Like for me, that's what always made it for me when I was a kid.
So, we like variation deadlifts because they're more interesting to do and to watch. So among variations, do we prefer max weight because that's a possibility in almost any deadlift type, or do we prefer reps? That's also a possibility in almost every deadlift type. Because if we have like the weird wagon wheel or Hummer tire deadlifts, I like those a lot, but those are typically done for max weight because they are very heavy.
Give me a crazy heavy rep medley, like something around 850, 925. These guys are all getting up close to 1,000 pounds, right?
Yeah.
And if we're getting close to 1,000 pounds, then let's give them something that they can rep, but it's going to be really fucking hard to get through. So it's really something that they got to work for.
Probably have some zeros. I feel like you'd have to do like 875.
I feel like 850 would be a comfortable, like, there'd be people who could do one rep of that, and that'd be about it.
Yeah, I want to see it at least in the 8s. Because right now everything's around 780, 790 when they do
for
reps.
Especially.
Push it up. Now you're having people get up to like 12, 14 reps.
Okay, so what I would
Let's have the winner hit like 6. Like throw it up at like 850. So everyone should be able to hit it. If you're on a like top level stage, you should be able to hit 850 for one.
Yeah.
So
what I was
even
gonna
over,
say,
I'm pretty sure you're gonna hit 850 for one. Maybe.
I really like the wagon wheel deadlift, but I also saw something the other day that was really interesting. A wagon wheel deadlift, but the bar is even thicker than like a normal axle bar. It's like almost 4 inches.
I don't know, because that's gonna lower the weight so much.
Yeah, it would, but I feel like you could do it if you had like a special, if it was raised or if it was slightly different kind of variation than just straight off the floor stiff bar deadlift.
Well, you're just going to end up having somebody using straps to hold the weight. Then at that point, it's just how much can the straps hold.
Yeah.
The thicker you make the bar. Like I want it to be a true test of how strong you are, not the Novikov. How can your fingertips hold onto the bar with the figure 8s?
Yeah, I mean that's not a bad. That's a good point. All right, so I like the wagon wheel deadlift just because it's slightly elevated, but put it at like 13 or 14 inches, something kind of awkward. Where it's
kind of like what they had at Martinsville, where they told him it was 18 inches, but it was more like 12 or 13. That was fucked. I felt bad for those guys.
Yeah, but we tell them beforehand that it's going to be a little bit different elevation.
Yeah. Giants Live did those guys kind of raw in Martinsville. I just want to put that out there. That wasn't cool.
That seems like a little bit too much. So let's just go with like a car deadlift for reps, something kind of heavy. I think that's interesting to watch. It's interesting to do. But something heavier than they typically do for the car deadlift.
I would be stuck on with Corey on the Hummer tires. It's just as a spectacle, just someone pulling a deadlift bar with like 4 or 5 Hummer tires on each side. Just nothing else looks like that. It's just
that's something cool that everybody wants to be able to do. And like you see it in amateur shows, they'll put like one set on, and they're you're feeling like Superman. But these guys could do probably 4 or 5 with extra weight with it.
So something
the car deadlift, the leverages, it's really hard for someone to judge and figure out, like what are they actually feeling.
Also, the car deadlift frames,
they're still deadlifting the weight, so you can still relate and be like, oh wow, that's crazy.
The car deadlift frames also vary, and so it's a little bit difficult for some wider competitors to get in the actual frame and get a comfortable position. Hummer tires, I think that's a good one.
I agree.
Any objections to that?
No. So we go with heavy rep raised deadlift.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
All right. Cool. So third event. I think moving event probably. I think that's probably what we're all thinking. Something like fast.
I had because we have a medley at 1. I'd probably do another static event. I'm looking at my list. Some sort of ridiculous Hercules hold's kind of cool for the middle of competition because their grip's not dead yet, but they have been through the deadlift. So I'm kind of like some ridiculous Hercules hold to some crazy apparatus.
Hmm. I'm thinking something where they're not moving a lot, but they're still like.
But and with the Hercules hold, they're not moving, but the giant towers falling over.
Yeah, it's also cool to watch. It does get a little boring though when you have someone like Mark Felix who doesn't even look like he's struggling for a minute and a half.
Dude is insane.
Yeah,
like
his hands are huge. I shook his hand in Martinsville, and I was like, "Holy crap!" I watched like half my forearm disappear.
Well, that's the thing. I feel like that event favors people who trained for it, and Mark Felix does train.
Grip training is that one thing that seems to just never let up, and the longer you train, the stronger it gets. So I feel like every grip event is great.
The biggest hands.
Because with like the Hercules hold, if you look at who was winning it, it was the older guys who maybe aren't doing so good on some other some other events. So like the Hercules hold event is kind of good for getting your.
Well, Mark Felix always made points in grip events because he always had a crazy strong grip. I feel like a grip event would be decent for the third one. I'm not a huge fan of the Hercules hold. It's a cool classic event, but I think modern day it just doesn't.
So I've got something to flip your lid a little since you're talking about classic events, and I think this is the perfect place for this one. Whether you guys agree or not, I don't know. Car flip. Always used to love watching the car flip.
The car flip is really cool.
Guys used to get hurt left, right, and center, either on the sprint with the pulled hamstring or a pulled hamstring on that first flip. But fuck, was that ever fun to watch?
It was. I'm not gonna lie, the car flip is really interesting to watch.
But especially when they did it on the beach that one year, and they were trying to ask these 300-pound men to flip a car 3 times and then sprint to a finish. Like, come on, man! And strongmen don't sprint, but watching these guys, like, that was what made it so interesting. Is like you'd see these guys seriously, like big Kaz, on a dead ass sprint at 300 pounds trying to get to that line, and it was just like mind-boggling to see them move like that.
I do like the car flip, but it's so dangerous. I don't feel like there's a way you can do it safely.
No, I feel like
you hold your arms stiff and tight like you're supposed to when you do a tire flip.
I don't see like functionally it wouldn't be too much difference because you'd probably have like a bar mounted on the bottom as well. Like
you could probably mount handles.
Oh yeah, they always had a bar underneath so they could grab and flip it, so that way it wasn't dangerous getting their hands cut.
Like a kind of a deadlift car flipping motion that you've practiced a bunch.
But they just did deadlifts,
and then you just roll.
But this is a lot lighter. You're just rolling the car.
I like the car, but it just seems unfeasible.
No, they used to do it. It was great. And car flips, no, because I actually kind of really like that. Especially you're probably taking the engine out of it as well. So we're looking at what if we're gonna say it's equivalent to a tire flip, just like a 750-pound car flip. If you're going to translate it into tire,
it's not quite the same because the springs absorb a lot of the shock, and there's a lot of different factors. Yeah. It's hard to measure how heavy a car flip is, but
no, all you have to do is look. So it's not like you're just driving a car off the lot. They're taking a car, welding it up, putting bars on the side, removing the suspension. It's a strongman implement at that point, and then they're all going to be repping it for rolls. I wish they would bring that back as well. It was one that
I'd rather see something like a Conan's wheel, like
yeah, so alternatively
something heavy for distance.
I had truck pull for this event.
Ooh, wait a minute. Now hang on. The perfect combination of old school and truck pull. Appliance hoist. You guys remember that shit where they would strap them in and they would have to lift up like the refrigerator or the fucking stove and it would hit the top.
My bonus is the refrigerator carry, yeah.
Not the carry though, the one where they would actually sit down and use the rope and pull it vertically straight up to the rafters. You don't remember that? Yes.
Yeah, they did that. Like, they did a max height.
Used to be in it, and like I want to say that was like the late '80s, early '90s.
Wow.
That shit was wild because they just arm over arm pull, and it would be an appliance on the ground, and it would just go straight up to the rafters, and whoever hit the top first was the winner.
What if you did a max weight appliance hoist where you had different weights like different sizes of appliances and you had to gradually go up from you started like a medley, really heavy, like not even a medley, like more of a max weight, but the weights are chosen for you. You start with like a microwave, like a heavy microwave, and then like a dishwasher.
It can't be a microwave.
No, but I just
actually, my parents have like a really heavy ass
stove. Just every time they up the weight, just opening the door and putting more.
Yeah, you just throw a 45 in it or something.
Yeah, you just keep loading up the stove.
I do like that a lot, just because it's classic strongman.
The progressive load oven event. I love it. Let's do that.
Wow.
And then it'd be so weird.
1 turkey, the 2 turkeys, 3 turkeys.
Yes.
I love it.
The last one's the John Madden turkey with 6 legs on it, and you're like, whoa, I don't know.
You could do it like a themed event.
Is that just breaking the ground or going up sufficient distance?
No, it has to go
up to the top.
Touch.
Yep.
There was a specific point, like they had to pull it until there was no more slack in the rope, and it would hit a bell.
Yep.
Whoever set off the bell first won.
Honestly, I really like that kind of strange event. It's not going to tax the same things. And I like the pulling. The rowing is a really cool strongman-like event, and just the sled drag across the floor is boring. I don't want to see that. And especially when they did it in like Barcelona on like the tile floor, and it took like 4 drags of an 800-pound sled to get it to the people. Like,
yeah, because it just slid so easily.
Yeah, it was just it was dumb. I don't like to see that. I don't like to see the sled drags. I feel like they're kind of boring. But if they have to hold something in the air, I feel like that's more interesting.
Oh, that's super taxing on your grip and your shoulders and triceps. That's got to be insanely hard. Forearms, everything burnt. So that's a perfect event for the middle.
I really like that. I really like that as a middle event because it's different from what you normally do. It's a whole body event, so it's not going to tax your legs or your back or your arms more than anything else, except for your grip. Your grip will be destroyed.
That's a marquee event.
I mean, because that's just pure grip and arms.
Rope pull for height.
Oven hoist.
Oven hoist.
Oven hoist.
Oven hoist. Has to be oven hoist.
Okay, oven hoist, just because it sounds...
I feel like Martins would dominate at oven hoist. You should ask him. Martins, if we made an event called oven hoist, you would dominate this, right? Of course.
I feel like Mateus would be really good at it too, just because he can just figure out the technique of anything really quick. If there's a technique to do it, Mateus can figure it out.
Martins also seems incredibly smart in that way.
Yeah, Martins can figure that stuff out too.
Martins would just visualize food in the oven and be like, I have to wait so I can eat the food.
Matt probably knows more about Martins than anyone else, so.
That's a good point.
So
that's got to be the trick with the oven hoist, right? Is as a bonus, if you win the event, you get to keep whatever food was in the oven.
Yeah.
Mystery food.
Well, I remember they did a cheese max deadlift, and they just loaded cheese blocks as the weight onto this deadlift platform, and that was really interesting. Yeah,
because they did a lot of weird stuff in the 80s. It was really cool if you go back and watch on YouTube.
That was John Paul Sigmarsson in the 90s. It was when Jeff Capes was...
Capes, yeah.
Yeah,
the Jeff years. Those were all really good years.
Watch. Tug of War is another really good oddball strongman event. The only thing is it favors the heavier guys. That's the only problem with Tug of War. It's going to favor the heavier guys.
Jeff Capes destroyed in that event.
But Jeff Capes was really good at Tug of War.
Yeah.
My only counter argument against Tug of War is going to be the 1980 World's Strongest Man Finals. Jeff Capes versus Bill Kazmaier.
Oh yeah, that was dumb. That was
8.5 minutes.
8.5 minutes of sitting.
That's ridiculous.
Well,
I will never enjoy that event.
I'm not a big fan of strongman it's strongman versus strongman directly. I like when they're competing side by side, but I don't. I would prefer it always be them versus like the weight and the same.
And that is kind of more the nature of strongman. It's you versus the weight, not necessarily you versus the other person. But in like 19-something, John Paul Sigmarsson was doing a tug of war, but there was water in between. If you lost the tug of war, you fell into the water. He picked up his competitor because he avoided the water and dropped him into it.
I just love the fact that you said 19-something. That's very safe. That was a good play by you. That was smart.
Yeah, 19-something.
Can't be wrong.
It's like, yeah, there's 100 years in there. I'm good. Okay, so next round, loading event. I really like natural stone loads, but like really awkward natural stones. Like weird shaped natural stone loads. I think those are
I
really
have one
fun.
here,
Or
natural stone overhead press is something I would like to see, where you pick it up from the ground, have to vertically press it completely for reps.
I really like the natural stone overhead press medley because a lot of times they like to put the third object as lighter than the fourth one, but harder. Because it's just.
I would just, on the natural stone press, just pick like maybe have 2 stones and do this thing where they do where if you can't do the heavy one, you do the light one. 1 rep on the heavy one beats anything on the light one.
Yeah.
And then you just pick 2 weights and then it's 4 reps. And it goes all the way to the ground and then all the way above your head, both arms extended, drop it back to the ground, and you just go for pressing it straight up instead of stone to shoulder. Because there's something visually more, I think it looks visually more cool when they're holding it directly above than when they do the Atlas pose and then drop it. I was watching Martine's videos and he was doing the Atlas stone press, and I'm like, I want to see that in competition. That looks cool.
Yeah. You have to really do a lot of definition on like what's an overhead stone press lockout, because like when you see Martins do it, like he's locked out, but his body's in like a reverse C to hold that weight. So like
stiff arms.
Are you gonna make them have stiff arms
also,
and stiff straight back and knees? Like what has to be locked out?
My issue with natural stone overhead press is that they really don't. None of the strongmen want to put that directly over their head and put their head through like with a log lift. They just don't. It doesn't feel comfortable. It just because if you drop that, you're kind of screwed.
You're compromised. I
think they like to keep their eye on it so they can get out of it from under it a little easier.
Balance.
Yeah,
I'm into the stone overhead as long as you can clearly define what a real lockout is.
I think lockout is arms extended and stable. That's I think is the strongman lockout definition. Arms extended, elbows straight, and stable for a second. That's all.
Well, usually there's knees, hips, and feet in line too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because you can't end anything split. Obviously, that wouldn't work.
I think that
running my own show.
Yeah.
I would not have stone pressing at all. It's just so dangerous.
It's subjective and dangerous as fuck. Yeah, I like the idea of a load.
If it was
medley, that's great. And a carry, like end it with a carry. Make them load 3 heavy ass stones and then carry 1 for 50 feet. That's fine.
The other thing I was thinking is a strategic stone carry medley where you get to choose. There's 4 stones to choose. You have to choose 2 of them to pick them up, walk, and load with them. You can only choose 2 and heavier weights get more points. Where basically there's 4 stones. You choose 2 to pick up. And the thing is, if you can't make it to the platform, you can try another stone. It only matters which 2 stones are on the platform.
I'd like that if you make it 5 stones and have to load 3.
I think that
gives you more variance in the weights. That way you could just do total weight of what's loaded, not points per stone.
I think total weight of what's loaded is really good. Because you could even go like, hey, I think that stone's easier to lift. I'm going to try that one.
Right.
And once it's on the platform, you can't pull one off. Like once it's up there, it's up there. You can pick it up, walk it to the platform, and go, set it down, go back, try another one, and then load from there if you want. But then it's a combination of weight and time.
I would say the only caveat I would put to that is once it touches the platform in any way, it counts. So if you try to
if you try to load, if you attempt to load.
If the stone at any point makes contact with the platform, it's now that stone's one of your 3 stones.
That's fair game. Yeah,
I agree. Yeah,
you got to make a conscious effort to stop prior.
If the phone falls off the platform, no points.
And then
but you have to use that stone.
You just have several different natural stones, and then you add up the weight of the 3, and if
I think that could work really well. I
really appreciate all the hard work you've done hashing out these rules, but I got to put in my vote for the final event. It's stone to shoulder, Atlas stone to shoulder. I think that is the ultimate strongman event, personally.
My issue with stone to shoulder is that certain athletes are just better at it than others.
Yeah, but that's everything, though.
Yeah, but you can say that about any event, though. Yeah, that's not fair. That's a blanket
press
statement.
leverages. I think.
True.
I mean, if you're gonna call it an Atlas stone, it needs to go onto your shoulders. You know what I mean? I love
Are
stone
you
loading,
doing 5 events or 6 events? Because I think were we just at 5?
We
This
are
is
at
number 4.
1, 2, 3, 4.
This should be
Yeah.
our 4th.
So we're,
This
yeah,
would be
I would
fourth.
definitely agree on the last
Oh.
event. Stone to shoulder is one of my favorites. It's to like open with the log, end with the stone to shoulder, and have fun in between.
Quintessential.
Well, I think we could even have a natural stone event and finish with the stone to shoulder.
Yeah, I like having lots of stones in a strongman event or in a strongman show. I mean, that's roots of strongman is stones. I mean, watch
What I
all the
would
Rogue
do-
series and shit on that is where it
what I
started.
would do for the Atlas stone to shoulder, it would be 1 weight of Atlas stone, and it would be relatively heavy, something like 320, something that's really, really difficult for these competitors to do to shoulder, and ferrettes, and that's it.
So
So
alternatively, max stone to shoulder would be a cool event.
That would
be fun
because-
seeing a max effort. I'd be cool with that.
you would
because I really think that the stone loaders wouldn't have as much of a benefit in that. Like
Yeah.
the Tom Stallmans and the Brian Shaws, even though they're max weight stone loaders, I don't think their stone to shoulder would be nearly up to par. So I think stone
how
to
do you
shoulder
do
for
max weight stone to shoulder? So do you just have like a ton of really heavy stones and you
I
just
think you
slap
would
the weight
have-
onto all of them?
Well, I also
think
think
you would
that
have to have mini
strongman.
stones.
You guys are
Visually,
welcome to
that'd be
come to
awesome.
Lightning Fitness. We have all the stones that you would possibly need for a
Because
stone to shoulder, all the way up to the
Visually,
Wildcat
you'd have
stone.
like a dump truck or something set up, and you just have all the stones kind of down and around it, and then they would pick their stones, and it'd look like a. Visually, you could do a lot with that because you could have like like with the budget on these competitions, that you could have like 30, 40 stones.
I think
Yeah, I
you could
think it's
honestly,
like-
you could give them an array of 20 stones, and that would be more than enough to
Yeah.
separate the field.
And you
Yes,
just probably
I agree.
make sure you have every 5-pound increment starting
Well,
from a
and
certain
you
point
could-
pretty much accounted for.
World's Strongest Man goes like what from 150 kilos to 200 kilos for their stone loading series. You could just have that range and just have 5-pound increments in that entire range and be fine.
Yeah, you get the guys that stand and submit and make your stones, and you're good to go because those guys make some quality shit.
And they
That'd
can
be
make.
perfect.
And the issue with Atlas stones is once you get over that like 440, 450, they become really expensive to make. Below that, they're still relatively cheap because you can use concrete mostly.
Well, I mean, at this kind of level, that price doesn't matter. Look at like if we're talking about top level strongman competition, then
Yeah, they'll spend what
price
they
is no
need.
object.
Yeah,
on,
but they
the
didn't.
silly
They
implement.
still only make 1 max weight Atlas stone each year. I mean,
Dude,
I
I'm
just
telling
wanna
you,
see
price
by
is
my
not an
mind.
object. Have you ever seen the Australia Arnold and the
I have
equipment
not,
that those
actually.
guys cut? Dude, watch it. Trust me. Go on Instagram. Anybody else is watching this right now, go on Instagram. Check out, I think it's Stand and Submit or Stand or Submit.
I think it's stand and submit.
The stuff that this guy is churning out is like Mad Max style fucking strongman equipment. It is amazing. It's super cool. I can't even say enough about how cool it is.
I've heard a lot of good things about Stand and Submit, and like a lot of their stuff I've seen is really high quality strongman stuff.
It's all like
argument
junkyard
for
parts
the
cobbled
stone
together,
stuff
and
is,
they look so cool.
Yeah,
They kind of got away from stone, like really heavy
A little
stone stuff in a lot of competitions.
they,
I think
did. Well, it was because they took out the max weight stone because Brian Shaw dominated that.
well, the
So,
Stallman's
yeah.
now, so I feel like you bring it back because
Well, and that's what they're doing. They're bringing it back for the record breakers.
So
And
to kind
Shaw
of
even
refocus
says-
what we're talking about, we all are in the same agreement that we're looking at a stone to shoulder. It's just we're thinking whether or not it should be a max event or a rep.
Like a-
right? That's where
max.
I think
I
for
think
max.
max,
I
too.
think max
I
would
vote
be
max.
interesting.
Max.
We
Stone
haven't
and
picked a
log
max
for
event
max.
yet for anything in our first 3, so
Yep.
it makes sense to have one. That's cool. It's
Yep.
always a good spectacle. So yeah, max stone to shoulder.
Max stone to shoulder with a bunch of stones laying on the thing, really cool. Then they pick their weight and they try to see what the highest. Do your standard deadlift rules, as far as like you get your attempts and all that.
And your tiebreaker can be when you came in, like how heavy you started. So
Yeah.
that puts pressure on the athlete to wait as long as they possibly can in the actual weights to start.
Yep.
That
Yep.
adds some strategic, another strategic layer to it.
I really like that. So are we gonna? So we're axing the natural stone strategic event and just going the Atlas stone for max.
Yeah, strategic
Sure.
stone to shoulder.
Yeah, strategic.
Atlas stone to shoulder, max weight. But that's how you should end.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. That's how that would be a good
End.
end.
Put the log at the beginning, and then do.
I mean, we can restructure at the end. We just
Yeah.
got to pick We just got to pick our 6 events. That's fine. That's what the final debate can be about. What order we put.
Can you recap the events we've decided on?
Okay, so the first event we decided on was an press medley where we just had a variety of stuff to press overhead. The second event we decided on a kind of raised deadlift of some variation, higher, whatever, slightly raised deadlift with some interesting aspects to it. And then we have the oven hoist, loaded weight for max height.
Hoist!
And then stone shoulder for max. So we have 4 events. We need 1 or 2 more events. For the next event, I think that we need like a farmer's or a frame carry.
Or let's let Matt start this one.
Okay.
Yeah, so I gotta go with farmers. I love farmers. Frame carry is cool, but I just
farmers is more dynamic, definitely.
I think farmers takes a better. I think farmers takes more actual grip strength because they move more and they can kind of rock back and forth and side to side. They're stable.
Yeah. And again, it's one of those events that I think the average man can relate to somehow. Yeah. You're carrying groceries from Costco. You got 20 pounds.
Every guy.
Grocery carry champion. You know it. Every married man tries to be that guy.
Not for this competition, but this one I want to see in an amateur comp because it'd be fun and everyone can relate to it. You have the reusable grocery bags that are like fairly strong, right? You pick about a 20-pound weight in them, and you have 20. And you got to get all 20 from one side to the other as like a farmer's carry, but then you decide if you're trying to do it in 3 or 4 trips. So you have a shitload, and you'd have each one be 20. And you got to debate how many you're going to try to do, because if you could do it one trip shorter, or do you try to go faster? It'd be fun for a mid-amateur level competition, I feel like, and really easy to set up. But that's something I just thought would be fun.
I do like that idea because I do that exact thing. I have reusable grocery bags. I even will grab my fat grips and put those on the reusable bags. Like in the handles, like I'll use that as the handles for the bags and carry them that way. I like that just for fun.
It's fun.
What?
Yeah, no, that is a fun idea.
Yeah, because I figure you pick like 1,000 pounds, maybe 2,000 pounds total volume, and it allows for a lot of strategy.
Yeah, I think so, and especially among the amateur strongmen who aren't quite as brutally strong and could lift 400 pounds and carry it like it's nothing. I think that would be interesting.
You could even put a 45 in each bag, because then most people are probably trying to do like 225. Actually, never mind. You don't have the bar, so that would drop it down. It'd be interesting to see.
I mean, you got to be able to. Because like amateur lightweight strongmen are doing farmers carries of over 200 pounds per hand, so you got to be able. That's gonna be a lot of bags.
Yeah, no, they cost like super easy to get. Everyone has how many 45-pound plates knocking around their gym? You get about 40 bags, 50 bags, put a 45 plate in each one, and then it's just like 2 minutes of frantically trying to move 2,000 pounds from there to 90 feet over there.
Mm-hmm. I like the idea.
That's
I really
tough,
do.
though. That's a really hard one, because that kind of fucks over the people that are really short in a hard way, because a lot of those bags have really long handles, and that should be dragging on the ground. So you'd be able to get away with just.
We'll have Rogue make some custom ones.
So you can like shorten the handles, because otherwise people like me, I'd be cheating like a motherfucker. I'd be grabbing all the handles and just dragging them bitches across the floor. Like, oh well, my arms aren't long enough, and I don't have to pick them up. Whatever.
Just call it the farmer's market carry.
That's I like the farmer's market carry. I do like that name. But let's go back to what we were talking about.
Yeah.
What if we did a farmer's carry but with thick handles, just to throw them off a little bit, like axle handles almost, just to make it, because lower the weight a little bit so it's not quite as much as they normally do for that weight. But that might also favor the guys who train grip way more than other people.
Well, yeah, the only thing, so I just don't like thick handles because it lowers the weight for the same amount of effort. So you're putting the same amount of work, but it just doesn't visually look as good.
What about my suggestion, which is sumo wrestling? I'm going way outside the box. It's something they used to do. I don't think I would ever want to have a man like Kaz coming at me in an adult that face.
No.
But
We're
like,
going for world's
whoa.
strongest man and world's biggest man.
the world's strongest man, when they used to
I don't
actually
know.
throw that in.
Well, you can argue the same leverage in a truck pull.
Well, the other thing is that Kaz was also a collegiate wrestler, and anybody who has professional wrestling experience is going to be better at that event.
So you were saying that Evan Singleton would be really good at this event because he was WWE.
Well, no, because that's
professional. Yeah, professional wrestling. Like, I mean,
he'd be
like,
really good about talking about himself and what he's going to do for the match, I guess.
Yeah,
that's probably
maybe if he had the opportunity for like a top of the turnbuckle atomic elbow drop or something like that.
Yeah, I just
if
feel
he
like
puts Thor
now
in the
it's way too
DDT, I'd
easy
give
for
him
them to
$10.
get hurt. It feels like a little bit silly, and that they would just get hurt for it. And I don't know.
I would like to see more head-to-head strongman stuff. I know we talked about that earlier, but I feel like there's occasionally where it could be interesting. And, like, I'd like to see more teams wrestle some people bigger than him.
Just to see how it would go, because there's like, you can't just be big. Like, Jeff Capes was bigger than everybody else, but he was also really athletic.
Yeah, he was.
So he was good at stuff like that.
If I was going to do any kind of wrestling in today's thing and it not just be totally off the wall, it would be just like Moss wrestling mixed in for one of the events.
I did put that one.
I feel like that's safest kind of like
bit.
head-to-head that they could do and someone not get hurt.
Well,
because they
sumo
train
wrestlers
strongmen,
don't get hurt.
So any head-to-head event, they're not trained for.
Well,
so like it'd be really easy to hurt yourself because no matter what you choose for a head-to-head physical kind of thing, they're all going to be amateurs in. So they'd be going off of raw strength.
Yeah, that's true. But also,
you're going to spend a couple
wrestling.
months trying to get to know it. So something like Moss wrestling seems like you could go head-to-head, but the likelihood of getting hurt would be way less than sumo or something else.
The likelihood of getting hurt, but you also have people like Martins, who's a world Moss wrestling champion.
And there's I don't know if I don't know Moss wrestling that well, but I'm assuming that weight class factors into it. I don't know if they hit like a certain part of like a certain weight class and it's like super heavyweight and that's it. But like you'd have somebody like Rob who's 280 going against Thor who's 440. The physics there are just Thor wins every time probably.
So I mean, it is classed. It's not subclassed to shit like powerlifting is. Rob could outpull Thor on Moss. It's possible.
Is it because he's shorter and more compact and harder to pull over the bar?
He's
like
gonna
that
have
would
to
be
be
the idea.
faster. So Moss is not just a tug of war. There's a ton of foot movement. People win because they can get their opponent off center really fast and yank them over a non-locked leg. Some guys go for just like that big pull, and I'm sure Thor would. He's just not quick, especially sitting.
Okay, so I just figured with him being outweighed by
it would be an advantage, absolutely.
Okay,
but it's not a locked in win.
Yeah, not a nail in the coffin. Okay,
yeah,
that's enlightening. I don't know enough about Moss. I just think it's a cool ass thing. No one does that at my gym.
The reason I put it is that Moss wrestling, I feel like it is more even among the head-to-head stuff you can do because you are so low to the ground. You have that thing to press against. It's not necessarily about what you're pulling with your arms. It's about where your body is and how you're using your leverages. You also have somebody like Martins who can just pull somebody over the bar who weighs what he does.
Yeah.
If they're just one a little bit off.
So you've done Moss wrestling, right, Matt?
I haven't.
Yeah, I won third place the last tournament we had.
Nice. It's pretty good.
So, from your opinion, could you see that back at a strongman as a strongman event, or is it just too far as removed?
I think it certainly could be placed as a strongman event. Do I think that athletes would be in favor of it? No. These are big, strong guys, and when you're pulling against big, strong guys, you can get hurt.
Yeah.
I was at the LA Fit Expo, and Moss Wrestling was going on there, and one of the guys at our gym, John Eklund, had a fierce battle with another guy. I think it was for first place in his division. He ended up tearing a lat. The battle was so fierce; it just went on for so long. Because essentially what it is, right off the bat, it's a max deadlift.
Yeah.
And so if you think you can hold max deadlift, partially for 10, 20, 30 seconds, yeah. I think tug of war, would be more likely to show up and more likely to be accepted. But Moss Wrestling is really fun.
So then basically we're between Moss Wrestling, Farmers Carry.
I say Farmers Carry.
I'm on the side of Farmers
No, I was thinking Farmers Carry, but if there was a head-to-head event at any point, I would prefer something, because I just feel like Thor or someone doing anything where they're going to fall on the ground, likelihood for injury is really high. It'd be really dumb to see him not get like a 500 kilogram deadlift because of some event like that.
Well, sumo wrestlers don't get hurt that often, even when they do get slammed. Even at their weight, but they also are experienced. They know how to take falls, and there's a lot of specific rules that actually protect the athletes in sumo wrestling because of how big they are.
I'll go Farmers Carry. I'm just not a big fan of any of those in general. So yeah, Farmers Carry. It really depends on. I'm trying to. If we've done mainly one super heavy, then this would be mainly distance. It really would.
Well, I was going to say distance. I feel like distance for farmers is going to provide more separation than time.
Do you make the distance open ended?
Yeah, max distance.
Like 350 or 330 per hand, and just go.
Yeah. Oh man. I think
that's what it was in Martinsville. I believe it was 330 in Martinsville.
Yeah, that's usually about what they
Mark
do.
Felix almost beat the world record. He was literally inches from it. He just had to finish that turn. He did 50, another 50, another 50. So he was close to 100 feet, I think, somewhere in there, or 75 feet, something like that. Like he was inches from the world record. He almost set it. I was standing right 3 feet from him when he dropped him.
I'd like to see if they had space just to let him go in a straight line. Just figure out a nice open thing and just.
But the turn is what makes it fucking hard. Like
yeah.
Turn that and then stop that momentum and keep going forward. Like the amount of grip strength and every other core strength it takes to stop that weight from trying to twist you.
Here's a wild idea. So they got at the Arnold here the uphill frame carry, right?
Yeah,
I think that's pretty cool. It's going to be tough as shit.
It's hard.
Let's make it farmers. Let's make the incline about half as steep as that frame carry at the Arnold's is, and then let's put different substrate on the path. So you start on concrete, and then you move into grass, and then you move into gravel, and then you move into sand, and see who can make it the farthest.
That would be really interesting because the abilities change a little bit, and moving.
I'm quitting before the sand.
You could because everything keeps coming back to a medley. Like we're basically on 6 of medleys, but anyways, if you're doing something like that, you could adjust the weight to keep the difficulty about the same. So on the pavement, you would start off heavier, and then each time you change surface, the weight would get slightly lighter. So
I would say just go one way.
It would be going across all the surfaces.
I think honestly we're getting a little crazy at this point, and the athletes are going to be like, "Fuck your show."
Yeah,
this just needs to be a farmer's carry.
This just needs to happen once. We're not setting up
everything else leading up to this.
I was just brainstorming. I was just giving it a shot, but
we have oven hoist, guys. Oven hoist. Come on, nothing can outdo oven hoist.
Not really. No, it's
hoist.
So we got farmers. We could do probably one more event.
If we should try to remember them all and wrap it into a competition and see if it has some semblance of something anyone would actually ever sign up to compete at.
I have everything written down. I'm keeping track, you guys. It's all good. For the last event, the last event we're gonna do. We're not the last event of this contest.
I've got a good one for this one.
Just throw out your weird ones. Let's just all throw out our weird ones and see where we get.
Airplane pull.
Oh, I got a good one. Airplane pull?
Yes. That fascinated me from when I was younger and I saw Hapthor pulling that plane.
If it's a truck pull, I kind of prefer the airplane. It just looks cooler. It's functional.
Yeah, honestly, and I think the airplane it's bigger than a truck can be. Now, even at a lighter weight.
To propose an event,
the airplane pull.
We have not had an over bar event. Now, I have two potentials on my sheet. I had keg over bar just because it hadn't been done in a long time. I mean,
They just did it in Florida.
It looks cool. The other one that I was watching
Keg toss was another one that I really like. Keg toss.
I was watching a Brian Asher video, and he had a 135-pound barbell, and he was throwing it over a 15-foot, like trying to throw it as high as he could over a bar.
Yeah.
So you deadlift the shit out of it, throw it over your head, and then over a bar. So like,
and then just throw it as high as you can.
I think it's got to be throwing. So what kind of throwing, huh?
Throwing the barbell over bar, barbell over bar. You eat it.
I'm partial to keg toss.
Goes over the thing. Just fucking.
How about a one-arm throw?
One-arm throw.
All right, Highland Games.
Yeah.
Half the weight.
They did a Highland Games one-arm like actual throw, but it was for Jeff Caves because he was a Highland Games athlete.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of something really interesting that they can throw that wouldn't be a keg and it wouldn't just be a sandbag.
So
I think we could do an interesting throwing implement.
2004 Arnold's, they had this really fucking funky like medicine ball, and they were throwing it directly up for height. They had a hanging trying to smash into.
I remember that.
So you threw it straight up, hit the plate, it fell back on the ground, you'd pick it back up.
I don't know about you guys, but my connections.
So if you hit the plate, then they'd move the plate up another 6 inches, 1 foot.
So you keep the ball the same weight, and then everyone tries to hit the plate, and then people slowly fall out, and they keep going out like a reverse limbo.
That's right.
Okay, I'm into that. That's different and weird.
And you could, that's really interesting.
Ball smash.
And just medicine ball.
Dangerous.
And I think a lot of people have touched medicine balls. They know how heavy they are, and they know that they're not really that easy to throw or move.
What weight would you have? Because it'd have to be something.
Honestly, 35.
I don't know. What's what is a record on that? Is there?
I have no context.
Height?
So
Currently, the record for max height. Sorry, the current record for max height is held by Hafthor Bjornsson at like 84 pounds for like 16 something feet.
With a medicine
16
ball?
or 17 feet. No, with just sandbag.
Yeah, I'm thinking medicine ball. Like, where do we start with that? Like, is there a real world comparison so we have a good starting ground?
What do they use in CrossFit? Because I know CrossFit, they have that medicine ball throw that they do.
I feel like you'd have to be like 100 pounds or something like that, and then you throw it up into the plate, and then you aim for the goal at like 12 feet is about where someone wins at. It's because you keep it heavy enough that it's still really hard, and then
I feel like a medicine ball is harder to throw than a keg, so you'd have to have a slightly lighter weight than you would for a keg or a bag because it's harder to throw. Because there's no handles, basically.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, I put the link to that throwing video in the Discord there. Let's see what it is.
Oh, Kazmar. Younger Kaz, I guess. Not super
youngish.
Younger.
Yeah, that's perfect. I love that.
I'm looking to see what weight they were
sure
using.
What pound it is, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't say. It just says best ball.
I mean, it's got to be at least 20 pounds.
So just for everybody who's listening right now, we're all watching a YouTube link of the 2004 Arnold Strongman Classic with commentary part 2/4 if you would like to join it. But it's just basically a bunch of strongman doing a granny shot, which looks to be a granny shot in basketball, of a very heavy medicine ball up to a square plate above their head about, 12 to 13 feet ahead.
Shit, there's no reason you couldn't do that with that same concept with anything else as well. Just try to hit the platform. Because
so these kinds of events are just really fun to me.
15 feet. Yeah. It's 15 feet.
Yeah.
And they're using the same size ball and then throwing it just higher and higher. It's on a rig that they're just raising.
Was that
if we were looking for the world's strongest man, I would expect to find events like this, like, who can pick up the biggest rock? Who can throw
Yeah.
this ball the highest? It almost sounds like a third grader's coming up with them, but
Yeah.
it's fun.
Because it's so simple and undisputed. Like, who
Yeah.
can pick up the biggest rock? Who can throw the heaviest ball? Just very basic, down to like simplicity. Here's something.
Yeah. Try and put a Wilkes score on this.
Yeah, I would say that this ball looks like it's probably
I
like
really like
70
that board
pounds.
because of its basic like nature.
Big Z.
Right.
Oof. I'm still watching this. Raymond's Manus just missed 17
Well,
feet.
These guys
Did
are
you
nuts.
notice one of the guys in that contest? It said he was like 5'6", like crazy short
Wow.
for a strongman.
Sven Carlson, 15.5 feet. So yeah, this has got to be like a 50 or 70 pound ball somewhere in there because it's reasonably heavy but easy enough to throw.
Yep.
So yeah,
My
I'm into
connection is
that.
really bad right now.
So I feel like that'd be interesting.
So medicine ball.
Yeah,
So-
medicine ball to metal plate,
Yep.
ball toss.
All right. So what monstrosity did we put together after all this? And
Well, I was gonna say instead of for height, you do it for reps. The same height, same weight, but you do it for reps instead.
It would be a
give
faster,
the-
more efficient show.
and that's literally CrossFit at that
and
point.
it would give but it would give the shorter people a better chance for the height aspect.
Well, you could just do
Because
it as
for
you could
max
do it NFL
height,
style.
the tall people.
No. Go for height, but do it NFL style, like where you base off of the height you are.
Oh, it's a height above
Yes.
your.
Like when they do the combine, they you put your hand straight up and they lower the thing down, then you jump, and it's based off of from your height.
vertical
how high.
leap is from your height.
Yeah, so you just base the height on from top of your hand.
Yeah,
but
we
you-
never do that
then
in
you're
strongman.
then you're getting away from what's easy for the viewer to understand. Like it's getting a
Yeah.
little convoluted for them. So
Well,
I don't
you
think
could.
I don't like that.
Strongman doesn't care and does not adjust for height.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it never has. So why start now?
I think if you wanted to, you could do it that way. But yeah, just who can throw the ball the highest in the air, hit the thing, max weight, keep it heavy.
I feel like you could do it for reps and have something pretty heavy that even for like the bag over bar at Santa Monica, most people couldn't do the 70-pound, but most people could do the 60-pound.
Mm-hmm.
You could have something in that range where it's right at that edge of what they're capable of and just make them do it for more than one rep, because I think if somebody can do that for one rep, they can probably do it for multiple reps.
Yeah, but then that kind of
And
loses the
I feel
spectacle of throwing an object really high. Like if you're gonna take turns and see who can hit it the highest, I feel like that's a better spectacle for that style event than to just rapidly rep a thing, throw it up over and over again. But to see how high, that I feel like that would be just who can throw it the highest, and you keep moving the thing up, reverse limbo.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think you make it a 65-pound ball, something that anybody could throw up, and then you just
I feel like
max
that
out
would
on
be I feel like that'd be a comfortable weight for a lot of guys.
65 is a good starter, and then the separation's just going to be the height. That way you get it's a spectacle for everyone. Everyone's going to get a few throws in. You're going to see a few throws for the crowd, and then it's going to get really hard real quick.
Because I was gonna for reps with a medicine ball, that's just straight out of CrossFit at that point.
Yeah, I mean you're not wrong.
And with
What about bowling balls?
Throwing
that'd be
bowling
interesting.
Just-
so
Well,
make a 65-pound bowling ball and just make it look like a bowling ball. just
Maybe.
I
What's
think
the
I feel like
Rubbing?
you could just have regular bowling balls at like 16 pounds and get them to throw it for like distance, like behind them.
Then that's but no. Then we keep leaving it though. I like just throwing an object straight up. But I mean,
Yeah,
a bowling
I think-
ball, if you want to do it for
I think we
spectacle,
go
just
with-
make it look like a bowling ball. Make it weigh like 65 pounds. Whatever ball you decide to go with, medicine or something more interesting, just make about 65 pounds and throw it high. You could even use a small Atlas stone if you wanted to. Just
Sand-filled
throw high.
medicine ball to make it hard because you got to
Well,
hold it
I was-
and you got to hold grip. And coming up, it's going to want to slip between your hands. It's going to make it difficult.
Yep.
The harder and more solid of an object, the easier it's going to be to throw it. That's why sandbags are
like-
harder than kegs.
Yep.
Yeah. I feel like we could probably make that work. Medicine ball for max height or weight? I forgot what.
Max height.
Max height.
Max height.
65-pound ball. Throw it up. How high can you throw it?
I feel like that's comfortable for a lot of the guys. We could even. I could say you could even do like 55 pounds and still get a lot of really interesting results out of it.
It's the Arnold, man. It's got to be heavy. We're developing Arnold in my mind.
Well, I feel like the 55 pound, some people would still miss that for even on the first one. Or the 65 pound, I mean. I feel like the 55 pound, nobody.
No, 65 pounds, you're not going to miss getting it above your head. Like, everyone's going to. The good thing about this event is everyone's going to throw it up. And you could even
You could start it like super easy, like 10 feet even.
Or why even have a target? I mean, you can just literally just throw it up. You get 3 chances, see how high you can get into like the atmosphere. So I would do either I would do elimination where you keep raising it, or you just get 3 attempts to throw it as high as you possibly can vertically, but not like overboard.
I feel like that would be really interesting to watch because the apex of the flight gives a little bit of like anticipation. You kind of get a little bit of excitement to see how fast and how high it's going to go, and then it reaches that top very slowly, and then it drops. I feel like the slow ags that hit the top would be really cool to record, and you could even have cameras next to it, like just that went up and would just record it as it going at its max height.
Yeah,
make it easier for the judges. I feel like that would be really, really interesting. You just get like 3 chances to throw the bag as high as you possibly can.
Sure.
I just like the idea of Wessel rules. This is the height we're starting at. You throw it, you miss, you're out.
Yeah.
You can wait as long as you want, but if you wait too long and you miss, you're fucking done and you get a 0.
Yep.
Okay, I feel like that's also easier for the audience to understand. And it's a little bit simpler for the athletes as well to understand. Like you either get this or you're out.
Yep.
So now let's recap on all of them.
It puts strategy in play.
I feel we're pretty good at throwing medicine ball very high.
Yep.
Okay, so our events that we decided on are the overhead press medley, the raised Hummer deadlift for reps, Hummer tire deadlift, some kind of variation to a deadlift that looks interesting, the oven hoist for max weight.
Oven hoist!
I think that makes it. That makes the whole competition.
That should be
the end. Does. I think that would be really interesting. Like, you could even have like an industrial size oven because of
Viking
how
ovens.
These are.
You would make it as large and as silly as possible, and you would.
You could even have like a Traeger,
you might even go all out and make the plates graphic as pizza or something. I don't know. You could be silly with that and just load in plates, max waste. Yeah, that would be fun.
You could have a Traeger and load it up with meat.
And then what do we have after that?
Okay, after the oven hoist, because I love that event, is the stone to shoulder max, which is really interesting. I don't think anybody's done that. Farmers for max distance. And then the medicine ball for max height. At 65.
I think oven hoist is a solid event 3.
It is. The only other event that's not needed is the same.
That replaces your truck pull or whatever. That's
your quintessential grip event right there.
Yep.
I think the overhead press medley as the first event is good. I think
we decided 5 or 6. I kind of prefer 5 events.
5, really? Okay.
Yeah, I thought you just read off 5, didn't you?
No, I got 6.
Okay, well, let's go 6 then. That's what we got.
Yeah, we got 6.
So if we space it out, we open log, end stone to shoulder, and then event 3 and 4. One of those is the oven hoist.
3 has to be the oven hoist, which then has to be followed by the deadlift because you're taxing grip and then you're testing deadlift, or deadlift goes before. Either way.
Maybe separate days because that'd be 3 and 4. Because day 1's gonna be 1, 2, and 3, or day 1 gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4.
So you would end day 1 with event 3 be the oven hoist and open up a deadlift on the next day.
I think that would be fair.
Because you start off day 1 with a max log or heavy log for reps. Then what was event 2? Or what would be?
We haven't decided that yet. That's one of the few that we haven't.
Because I like ending on the oven thing and then starting with a really heavy thing because then you do the same thing on the next day.
Let's not do the farmers on the same day as the oven hoist because it's grip.
I feel like that's
farmers would
event 5.
Yeah, Farmers is a solid event 5. And I think Farmers is good because it tires everybody out a lot because of how moving it is.
So then the last day would be deadlift, farmer's carry, stone to shoulder. Very traditional way to finish it up. Then the first day would
stone
be
press, bag toss, and oven.
Bag toss would be number 2. That's a good place for the back for the.
It is.
There's a lot of things going up on day 1.
Yeah.
Everything is going up on day 1. Presses.
Yeah, a lot of things going above the ground.
Press.
Ball throw. Ovens. Yeah.
Yeah. And then day 2.
A lot of things off the ground at distance. Okay.
Stone to shoulder. Yeah, I feel like we got weird, but it actually turned into something that people would actually show up.
Be really fun. Yeah.
Honestly, so now we have decided Embrace the Weight is going to throw a strongman contest. It's going to be called Strength in Numbers, and the first event is going to be an overhead press medley. It's going to be a bunch of stuff that you're pressing overhead. Have fun. Second event is going to be a medicine ball toss for max height. It's heavy, it's high, like a lot of us. The third event would be oven hoist, where we load up an oven with as much weight of food as we possibly can, and you get it to a certain height. If you can't get it to that height at that weight, you fail. And
you don't get to eat
then,
it. Ooh. We can get Kind of Fit, Kind of Fat to sponsor that, I bet.
Oh,
absolutely. Kind of Fit, Kind of Fat graphicked out on the oven.
Yes!
And then, Kind of Fit, Kind of Fat, they sponsor it. You get them to buy the oven, you put the weights in, and they all look like the donuts for Kind of Fat, Kind of Fit. They're pink weights with the sprinkles.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. So Saturday.
Right, so that was the events for Saturday. Ends with the oven hoist for max weights. Sunday, the events will start with the deadlift, a heavy deadlift for reps, probably heavier than has been done for reps in a long time. Fifth event would be farmers for max distance with the turn, because the turn is the hardest part of the farmers. In the very last event that would decide the winner of this contest would be Atlas stone to shoulder for max weights, ranging probably in between 150 to 200 kilograms.
That'd be insane. I'd love to see that.
That would be really cool.
To throw a curveball, who places 1, 2, and 3 for this fake event? If this was the Arnold. Give your 1, 2, and 3.
That's not fair.
Thor?
I feel like that's a whole nother podcast right there.
It could be. I feel like Thor, Martins, and Mateus are pretty obvious choices.
I think my exact same order for the Arnolds last week would apply to this.
Probably.
Yep.
Thor, Martins, Thor,
shows you.
And then Martins and Mateus are kind of interchangeable. They could be either one of them.
Without time for serious contemplation and thought, I refuse to answer this question. That's not fair.
What?
Corey pleads the fifth.
I am far too serious about this podcast to just throw shit at the wall and see if it sticks, guys. Come on.
No, but basically what I was thinking, and like at the end there, was like that my changes for the Arnold would be nothing. It would be the exact same basically for this, which just kind of shows you the best guys are going to win no matter what you throw at them. Because we just kind of pulled something together, and I'm like, well, no, that would pretty much be the same thing.
I think on Instagram this week, we all need to go on there and try to do some of these lifts. Good luck with the oven hoist. I don't know if we're going to be able to find a way to set that up. But I think I'm going to go into the gym, and I'm going to try and, sub this show somehow in my mind and see how I do.
That's going to be... I think I'd like to try that. Medicine ball toss for max height. That'd be interesting, because we have a couple of those.
I think I might have the one gym that we could pull off the oven hoist in.
Yeah, probably.
Maybe in the training hall. I don't know if Ode would let you guys do shit like that. He might be like, no, fuck that. But after some of the stuff that I've seen Bomark and Martins have done, maybe.
I feel like you could get away with it in the training hall more than most gyms.
Dude, I want to do the oven hoist so bad, but I'm trying to figure out the logistics.
Oh, the oven lift. I'm so stuck. I'm so glad that was created during this podcast.
That wasn't even on the original list. That wasn't even.
That's gonna come up a lot.
I mean, it was kind of in my oddball. In my oddballs, I added it to the end of that because I had sumo and the hoist.
Yeah.
But the fact that it became oven hoist.
But I like oven hoist with food in it as the weights too, just because of strongman. And
that's
I think
real world.
I think strongmen would appreciate that. You could even do the oven hoist at the end of day 3 end of day 1. In day 2, you serve the food.
So I think that's podcast 2, right? That's
It
everything.
seems like
That's
it.
right,
I think we
boys.
all pretty much agreed to agree.
Well, gentlemen,
I
I
do
think we
agree.
created an amazing show. I would love to participate it with you all, but apparently I'm the only one in my class, so I would dominate. Thank you very much.
It's okay.
I think we're all different weight classes, so
Yeah, I think we are.
this would be
So we're all
I'm,
champions.
award thing.
What are you guys? Heavyweight here.
Super heavy.
I'm middleweight.
Literally lightweight. 169 to 75 pounds of fury.
We got all
I'm
4 weight classes.
I'm under 200 right now, even. So
275. Feeling
I
thick
just
lately.
wish I could get to 200. And
You're on the
what that
line.
feels
What, you
like.
got 5 pounds or between you and
I've
super
never been
heavyweight?
over 200.
Yeah, I'm staying under. I'm not even strong enough to be in heavyweight, let alone super.
It's all right. I'm not strong enough to be in lightweight.
You don't want to be
Alright,
a lightweight.
guys.
We have to run.
Yep.
I don't mind running because I can run faster than the bigger guys.
I
That's
guess
the only
one
reason.
last quick thing before we wrap up. You guys did see the Eddie Hall record.
broke the CrossFit world record. Like,
Yeah, he
What's
lifted
the,
a
what's
really
the-
light bar for him really fast.
yeah.
What was the quotation? Are they like disputing it or?
I mean, if
Oh.
you watch the video, he didn't make full contact with the ground on every rep.
Yeah, there were a couple that were a little sketchy, but also
They did say that the other
CrossFitters
people
cheat.
that held they said the other people that held the record didn't necessarily touch on every one of their reps either, but I haven't seen their video, so I don't know how egregious it was.
Yeah.
So,
I
but
mean, to me-
again,
to me,
like
it's just not-
relatively
yeah.
the size, like he should have put on another 30 pounds on that bar at least, and then okay, maybe I'd be like, all right.
Well,
Exactly,
what I was
yeah.
saying earlier to my wife is that it's CrossFit's fault for not putting in rules that
Yes.
say that he couldn't
Yeah.
do that.
Because
'Cause, like,
this is in the world of CrossFit, so it may.
well, the thing is, normally that kind of record is attempted after doing a bunch of other events, not one-off.
Let's be
Yeah.
completely honest with ourselves, though. For Eddie, this was a meme record.
It was absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the best part.
CrossFit and take
See,
a
is he going to
record for
see how many
the
hot dogs he can fit in his mouth next time and get in the Guinness World Book?
Well,
Whatever-
LAB
whatever gets views, I guess.
makes his fucking money off of doing dumb Guinness records, like
Yeah.
that nobody else would even try. Like
So before we bounce today, though, next week, show podcast theme wrapping up the Arnold.
Yes.
I would say
Uh,
that's probably fair. I do have a contest next weekend, so I'm going to be tired as crap, and I may not be able to have time to watch the Arnold before the podcast. So we'll see.
We might skip next weekend and then the following weekend cover Arnold results, or I don't know.
We could even push it back to a Monday if you guys are free on a Monday evening.
Well, actually, yeah,
later
I'm free
Complete the
in
Mondays.
process.
I'm free in evenings. That's actually cool for me, and that gives me a day to rest from my event and watch the Arnold and process the results and whatnot.
Because I will be
so
avidly
next-
watching it live.
Is the Arnold would be what, the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or?
Yeah, Friday,
What's-
Saturday. Well, the strongman
is just Saturday,
Saturday. Yeah,
Yeah.
Saturday, Sunday.
There's powerlifting and all kinds of other stuff Friday and Thursday.
Bodybuilding. There's all sorts of. There's a whole expo. It's a big. It's a big.
It's a sports festival for a reason.
Yeah.
I'm
Yep.
gonna be watching the hall since most of the guys are gone to Ohio on Sunday. I'm probably gonna hold like a little streaming event up there. Watch
you
the
go.
event.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Cool.
So
Yeah.
I guess
Look-
I figure we'll move it to Monday then, and we'll do the
Yeah.
recap of the Arnold on the Monday, so we can all relax and enjoy and watch the Arnold. And
That could work.
yep,
I'll
And then,
probably be in the Discord voice chat at some point during that, yelling and saying
oh yeah, I'm gonna be
verbosely
watching.
ridiculous things.
I'll be watching it here in the Discord.
We'll see what
Yeah.
the timing works out to be, but I'll see if I can watch it with you guys.
And then yeah.
So next week we'll do Arnold recap, and the week after that, I'd like to talk about just local strongman contests and amateur strongman competition. Because I have my event.
Yeah.
I mean, we got a bunch
Keldo
of
has
people
his
competing,
event.
so
Yep. And we have a lot of people competing soon. So
we could do a competitive podcast. But yeah, I guess it's a good wrap up.
Yeah, sounds like a plan,
I feel like
guys.
we did a great job. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to our podcast. I know we're still new to this, but I feel like we're doing a good job. So thank you all for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.
Peace out.
Bye. I feel like that went really well.
Yep. Or
It didn't go exactly how I planned, but